The ghosts of Gilgo Beach. They thought the waves would keep their secrets, but the sea has a way of spitting the dead back out. Welcome to Gilgo Beach, New York, where the sand hides more than seashells, and silence can mean something's still watching. It began in the early morning hours of May 1st, 2010, when a woman named Shannon Gilbert called 911 from her cell phone, frantic and out of breath. She wasn't sure where she was. She just knew someone was trying to kill her. She had been dropped off in Oak Beach, a secluded, gated community along the coast, to meet a client she'd found through Craigslist. But soon after arriving, something went wrong. Shannon ran through the dark, pounding on doors, begging for help. Residents later reported seeing her sprinting down the road, screaming. Then, silence. She vanished into the marsh. The police didn't take it seriously. They called her just another escort, and they waited over an hour before dispatching officers. Months passed, no sign of her. Then came December 2010, the beginning of a discovery no one was prepared for. While searching for Shannon's remains, a K-9 unit came across human bones in the tall reeds near Gilgo Beach. The body belonged to Melissa Barthelemy, a 24-year-old woman who had vanished in 2009. But the horror didn't end there. Over the next week, 3 more bodies were discovered, all in burlap sacks. Maureen Brainerd Barnes, Megan Waterman, and Amber Costello. All petite in their 20s and last seen offering escort services online. They would become known as the Gilgo 4. Police kept digging, and the beach kept giving up its dead. By April 2011, 7 more sets of remains were found between Gilgo Beach and Jones Beach. Among them, Jane Doe number 6. Her head found near Gilgo. Her torso had been discovered 11 years earlier in Manorville. An unidentified toddler, possibly connected to another adult victim. A man, possibly of Asian descent, wearing women's clothing. Jessica Taylor, like Jane Doe number 6. Her dismembered torso had been found years earlier in Manorville, with her skull turning up at Gilgo Beach. The killer wasn't sloppy. He was methodical, strategic. He dismembered some, buried others whole. He selected his victims carefully. Most were sex workers. Most were vulnerable. But not all fit the pattern. Why a toddler? Why the man? Were they just collateral or a message? The case exploded in the media. True crime forums lit up. Reddit, Facebook, and YouTube filled with theories. Was it one killer? Or 2? Some believe the Manorville butcher, known for dismembering bodies, was a separate killer altogether. Others thought the timeline stretched back further than 1996. Perhaps to Joel Rifkin, a serial killer who murdered 17 women in the 90s. But Rifkin was in prison when some of these bodies were dumped. The most disturbing theory? That it wasn't just one man, but a ring. A group of predators using burner phones, sharing victims, and disposing of them along the quiet, windswept beach. The investigation hit wall after wall. Why? Well, the Suffolk County Police Department had problems. Big ones. Their chief of police, James Burke, had blocked the FBI from getting involved in the early days of the case. Years later, Burke was arrested and sentenced to prison for beating a man who stole a duffel bag from his car. A bag reportedly filled with sex toys and pornography. Some wondered, was Burke involved? Or just covering something up? Burke's interference set the investigation back by years. Meanwhile, the family of Shannon Gilbert refused to give up. They believed their daughter had been murdered, possibly by the same person responsible for the other women. But the Suffolk County Police insisted she drowned in a tidal marsh after a psychotic episode. Her family hired independent pathologist Dr. Michael Baden, who concluded her death was consistent with homicidal strangulation. Then, tragedy struck again. In 2016, Shannon's mother, Marie Gilbert, who had become a fierce advocate and face of the case, was murdered by her own daughter, Sarah, in a separate tragedy that shocked even the coldest corners of true crime. Death was following this story like a shadow, and then silence. For years. The case went cold, no arrests, no breakthroughs. But behind the scenes, a new task force was forming. Technology was catching up, DNA databases were growing, and in 2022, a break finally came. Police focused in on Rex Heuermann, a 59-year-old Manhattan architect. He lived in Massapequa Park, right near the dumping grounds. He was quiet, clean-cut, married, and he had a secret. In July 2023, police arrested Heuermann at his Manhattan office. They had linked burner phones, email aliases, and location pings to his movements around the time of the murders. They matched his wife's hair, found on one of the burlap-wrapped bodies, and most damning of all, they recovered Heuermann's DNA from a pizza crust he had thrown away, a match to material found on the victims. Inside his home, they discovered a hidden vault of disturbing internet searches, surveillance systems, and hundreds of firearms. Heuermann was charged with the murders of Melissa, Megan, and Amber, and is the prime suspect in Maureen's case as well. But the remaining victims? The toddler? Jane Doe's 6, 7, and 8? Still unsolved. Some believe the arrest of Rex Heuermann is just the beginning. The door cracking open on a much bigger, darker truth. Did he act alone, or was he part of something far more sinister? And what of the unidentified victims? People who had names, families, lives, now reduced to bone fragments along a lonely stretch of sand. The Long Island serial killer case isn't just about bodies in the ground. It's about apathy, injustice, delay, and a system that let a predator hide in plain sight for years, maybe decades. The waves may wash away footprints, but they can't erase the dead. If this story haunted you, don't keep it to yourself. Like the video, comment below with your theories, and subscribe to Spooky Chilling Tales for more real-life horror stories you'll never forget. And remember, the scariest killers don't wear masks. They wear faces just like ours.